Yo, welcome to another episode of the BJJ Goons podcast. I'm Bushmaster Tim Spriggs, and with you as always every week is...
Yo, what's up, everybody? It's Nico Ball. Glad to be back for another episode of the Best BJJ podcast. And once again, we are back at TLI.
Team Lloyd Irvin headquarters, and we have another guest from Team Lloyd Irvin, a young Team Lloyd Irvin soldier, Bri Holcomb. Now, typically I do a breakdown of our guest's credentials, but I'll let Bri do it. Bri, can you tell everybody what your credentials are in the martial arts game?
So for jiu-jitsu, I'm a 4-time world champion at the juvenile blue belt level, 3-time Pan American champion, and then for wrestling, I'm a state champ and a regional champ and a girls War on the Shore champ.
Whoa, let's clap it up. Clap it up.
Very nice. Congratulations.
I'm impressed because I didn't even do wrestling in high school, and I can imagine it's really tough. And we'll get to that later on in the show. But first question is...
hold on. Before we get to the questions, I have a question that's not one there. So first of all, I just want to let the people know. So if you haven't heard our previous episodes where we interviewed Master Donnie, we talked about the kids camp. We've interviewed Jamil and Malachi and a bunch of people that all came up through the kids camp, but they're grown. So now this is kind of one of the older next... the question I was going to ask is, how old are you, first of all?
I'm 17.
17. So 17, is it your senior year now in high school? So she's 17, senior year, and so she'll be going off to college. So she won her last world champion title was last year. It was last year, right?
Yeah, it was last year.
Because Worlds is coming up this year. So it was last year. It was the year that I got to go down with TLI. So that was really cool. She went down and she won the same year that Corey did, and I know we interviewed Corey right after that. So first of all, we were supposed to interview Sadiq, but I had to train. So I was like, I need to get in my training. So I'm sorry. We're going to interview Sadiq later this week, but I was like, she's going to be here. She's done a lot of amazing things. And before she runs off to college, like a lot of other girls that trained at TLI, they left last year, was it? 2 years ago?
Yeah, Cindy left last year. Maya left a couple years ago.
Wow,
3, 4.
yeah. So that's why we wanted to have her on. So 17 years old, and those are a lot of accomplishments. So now we can hop into the first question.
That's a lot of accomplishments. So how long have you been training?
Jiu-jitsu, I came to Lloyd Irvin when I was 8, but then I didn't start jiu-jitsu until I was 9, and then competing until I was 10-ish.
All right. And you had no prior martial arts experience?
No. I've done a lot of...
An 8-year-old.
None. Because some kids start mad young.
Between 3 and 4, I dabbled in Taekwondo.
I did. When I was there's pictures of me at 5 or 6 years old in a karate game, hi, hiya, hiya. I was doing all that.
I did multiple sports growing up.
Okay.
I did dance. I was very dedicated to dance. And then I ended up having to choose when I was 10 and chose jiu-jitsu.
Major life choice. First major life choice.
That's
10
a
years
huge
old.
life choice.
Old.
What has been the training like from when you were a youth? Can you talk about the experience for you?
For youth, it was I only trained jiu-jitsu 1 day a week. That was Saturday when I first started, and then it was kind of this is still new, but it was interesting because there was all these positions and all these things happening at one time, and then I started getting into it more, and then it was 2 times a week was jiu-jitsu, and then just more my mind just started expanding into jiu-jitsu, and then I fell in love with it, and then now I train almost every day.
So did you always train here? Because don't you live pretty far closer to Crazy 88?
I'm in the midpoint of Crazy 88 in here, but I used to live 5 minutes away from the gym.
Oh, okay.
And then we moved, and now it's a 40-minute drive.
Okay.
Ooh. Do you drive now?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Nah, that's a tough drive.
Yeah.
It is. For those who don't know, we are in Maryland, which has the worst drivers in the country.
Agreed.
The worst. They drive fast, and they don't know what they're doing. How long until you started training with Master Donnie?
Until I started training. Well, he would pop in on Saturday classes, when I was still, coming up. So you could count that as, as soon as I started doing jiu-jitsu, but it wasn't like constantly because it was mostly Mr. Jamil and Mr. Malachi who ran those classes. And then once I joined the competition team, that's when it was mainly him.
Yeah. Speaking of Mr. Jamil, can we like not forget to double back into like what we just witnessed at some point? I know it's not on the outline,
Let's go
but
into
like,
yo. I don't know how to describe this last practice, but it was situational sparring, but with penalties accrued. So if you lost by points, if I'm wrong, Bri, let me know. If you lost by points, those points counted as laps at the end of practice, right?
It was like the difference between the score. So if I won like 5-2, the other person that lost would have to do 3.
And it accumulated over the course of the sparring session, correct?
Yeah.
And it ended up being...
No, because we walked out here. We were trying to set up the podcast. Like, because first of all, I thought Master Donnie taught like this class. And I know he does, or like they mix in or something. I thought it was BK. So I was like, and we all know how training runs at TLI. I was like, what time training ends? She's like, 4:30, but 5 just to be safe. So it's like 6 o'clock right now. So it's like
I love it. That's how you guys do it.
But it's like, it's cool. We understand. We're in here setting stuff up, and then we hear the music because it's Jamil teaching class. And it's like, sometimes when Master Donnie or Master Lloyd, at least when the kids are not in the adults class aren't around, like, we chill, then we roll, and then we roll out like hour and a half like class is supposed to be, because it does tend to roll on sometimes for an extended period of time. So we just heard the music and we went out there. And we missed, like, the sparring. We came at the end when Jamil's like, yo, how many points you got? Like, he's shaking these kids down. Like,
doing the calculations.
How did you lose your points? How did you end up back at 0 again? Like, he's out there shaking these kids down. Like,
but the terror that you have in your heart of having to run after a long practice is probably the equivalent of, you're in the Walter Pyramid being ready for Worlds. But that's the style of training that we have here. We don't stop. The work isn't over until it's over. The time is when the time says. Classic Master Lloyd time management where, we got 2 minutes left and ends up being 20. So speaking of training, what was the difference going from just starting in your youth career to training with Master Donnie, who many people consider, including myself, is the best youth instructor we've had in this sport?
Definitely.
Can you talk about training under Master Donnie?
I think we're talking like more specific as like, I think the CAP maybe competition team, when like, because we talked about, I think when we interviewed him, how there is a competition team in which you don't pay for because he wants to be able to kick y'all off if you don't. So like we do have the normal kids class, and at some point you transition into CAP. That's how the program is, right? So I think that's the transition he's kind of really talking about.
So training under Master Donnie, like those Friday classes before COVID, my first Friday class, I hated it. Absolutely hated it. It was long. There was long rounds, which I was not used to. And he said, okay, practice ends at 7. It was 7:45, or like in between 7:30 and 7:45. And I was exhausted. And I was like 9, 10. So I was just like, I don't like this. And I was getting beat up. Triangled by Stone James.
Oh, yeah, Stone.
Stone
James was beating me up. He had long legs, too.
Can we just, like, double back? Like, if you're not aware, like, the psychological impact of not knowing how long your round is going to be, like, y'all don't actually realize, like, the luxury of being able to look at the clock and be like, yo, my butt's going to stop getting beat in 1 minute and 35 seconds. But when you don't have that, and I like, this is coming from an adult, so I can't imagine the kids' class.
It's Friday, no school. You think, it's going to be a fun weekend. I'm just going to do my martial arts. It'll be cool. Wrong.
7:45.
The rounds were, like, different, too. Like, I would remember, like, when I was rolling with someone, like, more my level, I guess. Mm-hmm. It was, like, fast. And then when I'm getting beaten up, it's so long. So that was definitely, like, a major transition. And then the technique. Because, like, when I first started, he was like, okay, well, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. And he expected us to know it. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I need some help. Mm-hmm. But it's just, like, a different standard that they hold you to on the competition team.
Excellent, excellent. Are there any training partners that you work with a lot, and how do they push you?
Well, I work with Carleek a lot, and you know he's really tall and lanky. So he uses that to his advantage and has like lasso, like all the guards, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he pushes me with that, so it works on my passing a lot. And then here recently, we've been doing a lot of stand up with like foot sweeps and like a little bit of judo. And then with King and Chauncey, they've been trying to wrestle me now. So I'll like tie in my wrestling game into jiu-jitsu.
So how is their wrestling?
The wrestling, like in jiu-jitsu or just wrestling?
No, how is their wrestling when they try to wrestle you here? Does it like work? Is it good? Is it like, and how?
I think they underestimate me a little bit. I mean, like they have some, I'm not like, they have good shots, but it's just like, I know, like I can see it coming now, now that I've started wrestling.
Cool. So we talked about the grind under Master Donnie. Are there any fun moments that come to mind when thinking about training under Master Donnie, or just your experience here?
Well, some fun, like recently we just did a team grappling thing, so that was fun. Like just getting the like the pressure under the time, and then he's like, I don't know, that class we were having fun, but we're also being serious at the same time. That makes sense. So he was like making jokes, like because he was being the ref.
Oh
So
yeah, he's the funniest ref. So you guys did like in class, like an in-class tournament type thing? Is that what you're talking about?
Like team grappling. So you pick teams, and then your team captains like send people out, and you don't know who your opponent is until you go out there.
So it's like a reality show type style, like tough on the mat.
That's cool.
Okay, so have you ever led a team?
When I was younger, because he mostly chooses the little kids, but last time he chose Jamil and Angelo.
Bri, you're a world champion. Congratulations once again.
Thank you.
What did that feel like becoming a world champion? Can you describe that experience?
Wait, was last time your first time at Juvenile, or was last year different?
Last year was my second year at Juvenile.
Okay.
And 2021 was my first year. So when I won my first, well, I don't know, I had like a more impact experience at Pan Am's my first year.
Talk about it.
So I came out I remember losing my first match at Pan's, but I had a round robin. And I was just so distraught because I put in all this work and like all of this X, Y, and Z. Then I came back and won, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is weird. Like I won a Pan American title, which is a major like thing. And then I remember seeing Mr. Malachi across the barrier, and I ran over and hugged him and, X, Y, and Z. But like that was more impactful than a world title, because at Pan's, I didn't really know what I was capable of. And then after that, like I knew I was set. Like I can win worlds.
Yeah,
I can
you had
do
that confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when is Pan's? Pan's is like April, March. Like you're in the middle of a school year, right? So when you're doing this Pan's camp.
Yeah.
And were you wrestling at the time when you were training for these major competitions, or how does that all work out?
Yeah. So I started my 11th grade year and had Pan's right like the first week of school. Did that, came back, then it was Worlds in December, and wrestling kind of started in like November. So I was doing both, and then went away for Worlds and came back, and then had to do wrestling, and it was just like a lot because like the weight brackets were different. So I was having to manage my weight like up and down, and then it was hard because I'm doing 2 days. Like I'm doing wrestling and then coming straight to jiu-jitsu. So it was hard on the body, and then going like literally right after wrestling season ended, I was still dieting. So I was dieting my whole 11th grade year. And that was sucking.
Oh man. And you miss out on like all the holidays too. Like you end up having to like maintain your weight through all of the holidays, which
terrible.
Sucks.
And with wrestling season, like before wrestling season, I was like walking around 125, and then it bulked me up to like 130, 135. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have to lose all this weight for Worlds and for Pins. Like, it was a terrible dieting experience.
Did you ever change weight classes in jiu-jitsu because of that, or no?
I was like, I'm not, because with the open classes, like for juvenile, they cut it off right at lightweight for the light open. So I wanted to stay in the bottom open class.
Incredible.
Ambitious.
Incredible.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And can you talk about, because that's obvious, you're a young woman. when you started wrestling, were you the only young woman on the team at your school? How did that work?
When did you start?
That's a good question.
I actually started COVID year, but because of the COVID regulations, so it was my 10th grade year.
Was that so did you start like before COVID hit, or you just like randomly signed up for wrestling for the first time in the midst of COVID?
In the midst of COVID.
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay.
And because it was like when like we first started doing online school, and I joined wrestling because I was like, oh, I do jiu-jitsu. It should be, cool. I was the only girl, and then it came out that we weren't even going to wrestle. So we were just in the gym, like, lifting weights. And then my 11th grade year is when we actually got to wrestle, and there was 2 other girls. And one of the other girls actually does jiu-jitsu, and her dad used to train here. So, like, we had a little connection. We understood each other. Like, it was pretty cool. But it was also, like, hard because there's a room full of guys, and the girls, like, kind of have to prove themselves to get the respect of the guys. And it was just tough. Like, the guys didn't really want to work with us at all until they realized, like, after me and the other girl that did jiu-jitsu, like, we could handle it and, like, we knew kind of what we were doing, they started giving us more respect.
Interesting. And you're cross-training, so you're wrestling guys and girls at practice.
Yeah.
Guys and the one girl.
Well, guys. Okay.
But, like, what about competition? Because you were talking about how you have a competition coming up. We were talking about before you film where you can choose to fight guys or girls. So how is...
So for regular season, like regular meets, I can wrestle boys. So, like, I'm on the varsity lineup. So I wrestle mostly boys unless there's
varsity,
unless there's a girl in that weight class. But then once it gets to regionals and states, that's when I choose between girls and boys, and I chose the girl route.
Okay. And you are state champion?
Yes.
Oh, man. How was the bracket there? How was that experience?
The bracket, last year I was JV, so I didn't get that many matches. And so I was seated pretty low. I don't know. And then it was a 2-day tournament. So Friday we fought, and I only had 1 match. And my coach was like, if you can beat this girl, you can win it all. This is the girl that's, like, going to win. I was like, okay. So that match was really hard. We ended up going, I think, all 3 periods. And I was just like, I couldn't pin her because she was really strong. But I just maintained. I think I won by decision on that one.
Excellent. And then the rest of the tournament, just a breeze, right?
Well, I mean, there was this girl. She was really short. And I ended up just pinning her in the first period. And I was like, this is weird. But then my finals match, the girl, I don't remember what school she went to. I think it was Bournesboro or something like that. And she was really strong. Like, you could see her muscles all jacked up. And she was a little bit taller than me. I'm like, how are you in this weight class? First of all. But I think I ended up, I beat her 7-0. So it was just maintaining, like, the positions. So.
Cool. Do you plan on wrestling in college?
That's where I'm still undecided. I have a couple coaches from different schools. I think they're D3 schools. They reached out to me, and I'm actually about to go visit a college on the 1st.
Where at? Are you planning on leaving the area, or?
Because my coach keeps trying to, like, send me out, and I told him.
Wait, which coach? Oh, your wrestling coach. I was like, Master Donnie, Master Lloyd. They trying, Mr.
Master Donnie's like, you better stay right here. But I said 2-hour radius, just so I can come back, like, on long weekends. And that's even if I choose to go away for college. Because originally I was just going to do a community college and do it online so I could focus on jiu-jitsu. But then these opportunities started arising. So I don't know. I'm still undecided, but I'm giving the opportunities a chance at least. So.
Yeah, so because that was kind of the question. It's like, how is it, like, if you leave the area, are you going to continue to train jiu-jitsu? Are you going to find another gym? But you do have wrestling, too, so that's it's opening doors.
I think there's also UMBC. They have a club wrestling and a club jiu-jitsu team. And that's actually near Crazy 88, so I could still train, like, jiu-jitsu full-time if I wanted.
Absolutely. Oh, by the way, shout out to Vanessa Griffin. She's in the finals, the Europeans.
Oh, and Coach Devin Riley, just won.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
He did. Oh, wow. I didn't see that. That's so sweet. So you talked about, you might wrestle in college.
Hold on, one more question before college.
Yes.
Do you know what you want to study?
Yeah, I wanted to be a civil engineer or like an architect, something.
That's like a Ray, right?
Yeah, I know. She's seen Ray got her house. She living nice,
Yeah, black belt, genius, all that stuff. So you talked about your wrestling career, and you might continue. What are your plans for your jiu-jitsu career?
Still do jiu-jitsu, like, no matter what. If I do go away for college, like, I'm going to still come to the gym, like, on the weekends, like, still make the drive, because I already make a 40-minute drive. So if I add, like, extra 20 minutes, it's not that bad for me. So, and then even if I could find a gym, like, near the college, I could do that for, like, a couple of days, like, X amount of days this week, and then come here X amount of days.
You're in a really good situation, because when I went away to school, jiu-jitsu was not as popular, nowhere near as popular. Finding a good gym or a decent gym, really difficult. So you'll be more than able to find someplace. But, man, I really hope you're able to continue to train here as much as possible. Another question I was curious about, who are your influences on your jiu-jitsu game? Like, who did you come up watching? Who do you continue to watch? Who inspires you?
Well, I came up... So, I don't really watch that much film. I try to. It's just, I don't know, it's hard. But when I first started watching film, I was watching Jamil and actually Rico. Because I liked how flashy Rico was.
Yeah.
And of course, Jamil, because he's a goat.
Yeah.
He's just like that.
Do you know where Rico is?
Has anyone seen Rico? Where's Rico? I mean, you can't go wrong with watching Jamil.
Yeah.
It must be really cool to be able to train with him.
Yeah,
every day, right?
Yeah, and sometimes when I roll with him, I just find myself in these weird positions. And
Only sometimes, though.
It's okay.
It's all the time
Happens
for
to me too.
It's all the
Happens
time
to
for
me
me.
too.
He used to be like a rag doll. He's like, okay, rest around. And I was like, all right, whatever.
I swear he like just comes up with it in his head, like on the spot, and then he's just looking at you like you're silly for putting yourself in this situation.
That's the worst.
But like outside of the team, I was watching Mackenzie Dern before she retired, and then now I'm watching a lot of Ana Rodriguez.
Oh yeah, A-Rod.
Yeah, and then that's all I can think of off the top of my head. Like I'll see a few like clips here and there, but like nothing.
Yeah, it's hard to like want to watch people when you can just go to training and ask Mr. Jamil. You know?
So, hey man, I'm just gonna go with like one of the best lightweights of all time. Go ask him what he thinks. Why am I gonna watch these guys?
You got Skywalker in there because you do have a brother that trains as well. How old is he?
He's 10. Or he just turned 11.
Yeah, he's an 11-year-old yellow belt. And, like, I don't know why, but, like, after they were doing that points match, and then, because then after you had the points and you had to do the laps, but you were trying to you had to buy out the points or you were trying to get rid of. That's gambling. What I'm talking about. They were gambling up the points. It wasn't just like, oh, this match, like Tim made like cookie cutter. No, like he was shaking them down the points and then he made them like gamble them up and he was making the stakes. But for some reason, her brother, who's an 11-year-old yellow belt, like he's got to get out of Corey Skywalker, his
a black belt.
And so like they're just sitting here having this conversation about these laps, and I'm like, how is this even fair? Like, is anybody skipping over this little detail? It's like, what is going on here? And he got out, but I don't think he did it in a short enough time. I think he had 10. I don't know.
I didn't see him run, so he did a good job.
But like, he's like mentally, these kids are about to be on point because
no excuse.
That is a mentality, and it does sound like we're not talking about actual game. Like you need to know your points in competition and how to get them and how to leverage them and how you should act when it's like short time and you're down on points. So there is like a meaning behind it, but he's just bumping rap music and like, what are your points? How'd you lose a point? that was hilarious. And I'm just looking at this little kid and I was like, what? Why is he against Skywalker?
Terrible.
You have anything else you want?
Yeah, what is next competition?
Next competition, well, we have a Naga coming up at the end of February, and then Pan Am's.
Naga and Pans. Where's Naga?
I don't even know. I don't know. I just go.
I'm sorry. That's why, like, they end up popping up places. I need to start going to the kids' class, like, because realistically, I mean,
that's good work, man. Those kids, even the kids are tough here.
It's Jamil's playlist for me, and like, Jamil's playlist for me.
Mr. Jamil has this one playlist that he said, like, when he turns on, it's just violence, like, on the mat. Like, go, 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 go.
Oh, we need to come here. We need to. We may make a Spotify playlist with all of Jamil's music.
We're gonna have to just come. I think he has like Tidal or something.
Oh, well, I don't have that. We gotta
figure it out. I'm about to pay for it to get them playlists because one time he sent it to me and then I'm sitting here trying to like copy it over into Apple Music. Like I have it. It's called like I definitely have the Hill playlist, but I got like 5 songs in and I got tired, so I'm about to pay for Tidal just to get access to his playlist. And I want to go to his house to see his new closet room because I went there like years and years ago for a Flow Grappling interview and it's evolved so much.
Probably $1 million worth of shoes in there.
Yeah.
No.
I got 2 more questions for you, Bri.
Right.
One, speaking of music, if you were to have a super fight, what song would you walk out to?
Oh, so I've actually been like thinking about this over the years. So when I went to Fight to Win, like for the first time, I was like, oh my gosh, like a walkout song. This is so cool. But I've been undecided all these years.
You seem like you were gonna be ready with the name.
I was saying, thinking about.
No, still nothing.
Like,
do you have like options that you're trying to choose from?
I listen to a lot of Lil Baby, so I would listen. But like he also curses a lot, so I don't think I would want to come out to a song that has like explicit stuff. Mm-hmm. So maybe something simple like "We're the Champions."
You can't go wrong with that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of self-belief in your, it's a lot of self-belief you walk out to "We Are the Champions." Yeah. But I mean, you've proved it so far, so good. Last question for you on my behalf. Anybody you want to shout out to the audience? Anything you want to plug?
There's so many people to shout out on the team because we're all grinding, we're all doing amazing things, and I feel like it gets overlooked a lot. Right now, Elijah and Malachi are at Europeans. They're advancing to the semis or quarters. I don't really remember. They're advancing to Sunday.
I think it's quarters tomorrow. I think that's
made
what
it to Black Belt
said
Sunday.
at the end of class.
Mm-hmm.
And then Q, he went out there, and so did Corey Dorsey. And then we also have a whole bunch of young kids coming up like Carly, Harmony, Chauncey, King.
Yeah,
like,
Harmony passed my guard.
Chauncey,
she didn't tap me out, but she passed my guard.
Harmony's a beast. Like sometimes I'll be rolling with her, and I'm like, when did you like start getting good here? Like what in the world? So I have to put a lot of effort. Like a lot of effort. Sometimes.
Yeah, I was kind of like scoping out the kids class, and this is really why I definitely wanted to have you on the episode as well, because we talked to Master Donnie and we talk about the kids program, but like, some of them are really young, but they are funny as hell. Like some of them, we can't have them on camera, especially because sometimes they be inappropriate, killing each other, like trying to.
Oh my gosh.
They are who. If you see them at Worlds, they'll roll up on them at Worlds. Sit behind the TLI. Sit behind TLI at Worlds and listen to them kids.
I miss it.
Or like find out what their gaming handles on. Hop on Fortnite with them. They're hilarious.
Just like family talk, honestly, because we've grown up together, and then I think through COVID too, we've just gotten a lot closer. Like on Saturdays, like we always go out and do something as a team. Like right now, I think we're about to go to the movies after this podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, snap.
I thought they might pop up, actually, the kids around. I was like, because, they never leave. Like, and a lot of times when I do, like, interview them when I'm working for Master Lloyd, if I interview, like, one person, like, everybody's around, like, because everybody's always around.
Everybody wants to, like, know what's going on. Like, that's why I kept this on the down low.
She is very shy. So, sorry, didn't want to interrupt the shout-out. Shout out the team, like, because, yes, they are overlooked, especially, the squad that has come up with them through the years.
Well,
anybody else? No, I was going to ask if there anybody else. I didn't want to interrupt. Is there anybody else?
Master Donnie, as always, and Master Lloyd,
All right. Well, I really look forward to seeing your progress as a martial artist. Congratulations on everything you've done. You're doing a great job as a wrestler, jiu-jitsu practitioner, graduate high school, probably go to college. So congratulations, Bri. Thanks for being a guest on the podcast. Nico, anything you want to add?
No, I just want to say, how do you say it? Send my condolences. I feel bad for you. I finally figured out with this video that, like, Master Donnie has been blackmailing her with her parents. I'm not going to say what it is, but, like, now that I know, it's like, man, her parents did her dirty, like, giving him evidence.
I have to explain, like, I was really shy, like, when I first came in, and then all of a sudden on Saturday practice, Master Donnie pops up. I don't really know him, and he's just like strict, like right to the point, and like kids are acting up. He's like, okay, go, and I was like terrified that he was gonna kick me out of class. So then like of course, like that video happened and they were like, oh, we're going to send it to him. I was like, no, like he's scary. Like, and I don't know why, but like Master Donnie says that's his favorite video just because I said he was scary.
Yeah, that's
Scary when I was like 10.
They like her parents sold her out, been holding it over her head like to keep her in line for these years. So I just want to say I'm sorry for that. You know, you're gonna go out and kick some butt despite that. And yeah, thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching another episode of the BJJ Goons podcast. Until next time, peace.
Peace.